Welcome to the Spark Business Show, episode 35. Today we're going to talk about a podcast. It's called 10X Talk, and specifically episode 65, which I'll link in the show notes. In episode 65, there's two really good quotes that came out from Dan Sullivan, who's one of the people on the podcast. The first one is, people playing a big game don't have time for the small game. He's talking about this in reference to guilt. I think it extends into lots of other areas, though, to backbiting, name calling, right? Even saying, oh, my company's way better than this other company. Because when you're playing that little game of petty stuff, if you're playing this big game, you don't have time for that little game. It's not even something that registers as something you do, right? Just like with me, there's lots of people out there who offer similar services to me for a quarter of the price, but I don't even consider them competition. It's not even the same game. We're not playing the same game, so I don't worry about it. The same thing goes with all of the emotional things you involve yourself with, all the things say on Twitter or on Facebook. It's the exact same thing. When you're playing a big game, you just don't have time for that. The second one that he said was, being an entrepreneur is a life sentence. I can totally understand that. I can't imagine how hard it is going back to a job now after doing what I've done for as long as I have. Even back when I used to install decks, I did some of that on the weekends, and man, just working on the weekend for myself, earning way more money and not having a boss telling you what to do or telling me how to do it was perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. And I knew right then that that's what I should do, that I should be running some sort of business. I knew it wasn't that necessarily, but I knew that I needed to run a business. And I dreamed about it for years until I really figured out what I wanted to do and run the business I have now. So remember that as you go to start your business, that it may be a life sentence. You may get a little bit of a taste of freedom and think, man, I couldn't work for someone again. It's certainly possible. And play the big game. Don't play the small game. Those petty things that happen around you, don't even get involved with them. They're not part of the game that you should be playing if you want to run an awesome business.